The story begins with Maud Garrett breaking a lock off a box to take out a gun, then type a letter on an old typewriter. We see her with her left arm in a sling and carrying a large leather case onto an airfield somewhere in New Zealand during the Second World War. She opens the side door of a bomber aircraft and climbs in. A man named Tommy Dorn says hello to her, but another man named Terrence Taggart tells her to get off the plane. The pilot, Captain John Reeves, wants to know what's going on. He tells Taggart to put her in the Sperry, which is the gunner position below the aircraft. A man called Walter Quaid tells her he'll take care of her leather case, and she tells him to take good care of it because it's fragile. As she climbs down into the Sperry, the plane takes off. After a short while, Garrett puts on the headset and listens to the rude conversations the crew is having about her, until she actually speaks over the microphone and surprises them that she was listening. They introduce themselves to her. She tells them that she's a flight officer and she was given last-minute instructions for this assignment. She tells them she is also a flight mechanic and a pilot. As the plane is climbing, the captain tells them to cut the chatter while they're climbing through the storm. Between lightning flashes, Garrett sees something under one of the wings, some sort of creature. The captain thinks she may be feeling claustrophobic being stuck in the gun turret. He tells her to come up out of the turret, but when she tries to open the hatch, one of the handles breaks off. Taggart, Dorn and a man called Stu Beckel try to open the hatch from above, but it seems to be jammed. When she asks them what's happening, the captain tells her she is an auxiliary civilian and tells her to relax while they work on it. Garrett reminds him that she is a flight officer and that she has had 200 hours of flight time over the Pacific Ocean, which is probably more than most of the men on the plane. The captain tells the men to leave the hatch and let her cool down for a while. Shortly after, they cut the radio so she can't talk to them any longer. Now we see Garrett remove the sling and check the pistol that she has been hiding in there. So, it would seem that her left arm is actually not injured at all. As she sits there quietly, she sees a Japanese aircraft flying through the clouds nearby. She grabs the radio headset and tries to notify the captain, but the hatch behind her opens and a strange creature attacks her. She pushes it back out and closes the hatch, but she can't lock it, so she puts her finger through the hole. She grabs her gun, then drops it, and the bullets fall out of the chamber. She gets one bullet into the gun and shoots at the creature outside the hatch. Garrett finds a bolt to lock the hatch, but her finger is broken. She watches the creature move away underneath the aircraft. With a great effort, she straightens her finger, then ties it to another finger. Garrett hears chatter on the radio and puts on the headset. The captain asks her if she fired a gun, but she denies it. She tells them that her leather bag is the top priority on the plane. Taggart tells the captain that they heard back from Auckland radio control stating that there is no Maud Garrett among their personnel. They now realize that she is on the plane under false pretenses. As they try to raise the turret and open it, she jams the cogs, then tells the captain that a Japanese fighter plane is in close proximity. Beckel calls the captain about some sort of large rat outside. The captain dismisses the call and asks Garrett what's in the leather bag. She tells him it's confidential, and if they open it they'll all face a court-martial. He assures her that it won't be opened. Garrett asks Beckel where he saw the rat. Just then she sees the Japanese aircraft flying toward them from below. She asks the captain for permission to fire on the enemy aircraft. He doesn't believe her and doubts that she even knows how to use the gun anyway. Garrett loads the gun at the same time as the Japanese plane starts firing at them. She lets loose with the turret guns and shoots the enemy plane through the wings, and it goes into a dive, leaving a trail of smoke behind. Now they hear her voice, which no longer sounds like English but more like an American. The captain keeps interrogating her in case she's an enemy agent. She assures him she is not the enemy and that her maiden name is Garrett. Her married name is Johnson. Garrett reminds the captain that her mission is classified. Just then a call comes over that Engine 3 is in trouble. As Garrett looks out the window, she sees the creature again, climbing out from inside the wing. She tries to aim the turret guns at it, but they're stuck. The creature sees her and climbs across to the turret and looks straight at her through the window. Garrett reaches for her gun when she sees its tail coming inside. She kicks at the tail with her boot, then calls the captain and tells him what she is seeing, but he thinks she's making it up. But before she can shoot it, it climbs back to the wing and starts pulling pieces out and dropping them. Suddenly the plane starts losing control of the instruments and hydraulics. The crew starts arguing about the creature. Some say they have seen it and some haven't. They think Garrett's leather case is a mind control device and they want to open it despite what Garrett tells them. The captain tells Quaid to open the package, but he refuses. The captain tells one of the crew named Bradley Finch to take the leather case from Quaid, but Quaid pulls a gun and the two of them struggle over the case. Finch grabs the case and a moment later we hear the sound of a Quaid asks Finch for the. He tells Finch to give him back his. Now they realize that Quaid is B's father. The captain announces that they can't continue, so they'll return to base. Garrett starts telling the captain how she got married too young and how her husband would get drunk, and so she joined the Air Force to get away from him. When she met Quaid, she didn't think she'd get but it was too late. Quaid left her when he found out that she was married, but he didn't know she was Her husband had found out and arrived at the base, ready to kill her, so she left with the to get away from him. Suddenly, 3 enemy aircraft approach the plane. Quaid calls out that something is on the top turret. It sounds like it's attacking him. Finch comes on the radio and says that Quaid is gone, then he says that the base is gone. Garrett screams at the thought of losing her. Garrett looks out to where she saw the creature earlier and now she can see it climbing out of the wing carrying the leather case with the inside. The creature looks straight at her. Just then the captain says the enemy planes are about to attack. As they start firing, Garrett leans out of the turret and starts shooting at the creature, then it disappears back into the wing, but the leather case is just hanging there, close to falling. As the enemy planes come at them again, Garrett climbs out of the turret and slowly makes her way towards the leather case. As she gets closer, she pulls a piece of pipe free from the plane just as they're attacked again and the turret is shot away from the plane completely. Garrett hangs by her legs and reaches for the case just as it falls and she catches it with the pipe. She swings the case up into the opening, then climbs up into the wing. When she opens the case, she finds is okay. Once again she hangs down under the plane and makes her way back to the hole where the turret once was. After placing the case up into the plane, she slips and hangs by one hand then falls. At that very moment, a Japanese plane is directly below her and explodes, just before she hits it and the force from the explosion blasts her upwards and back through the hole.
What?
When she looks up she sees Dorn standing there in disbelief at what just happened. An enemy shot comes through the plane killing him instantly. Garrett picks up the case and walks down to Beckel at the rear gun turret. She tells him to keep shooting at the enemy planes, then she turns to walk up to the front of the plane. Now we see Taggart fighting with the creature. The creature reaches out and grabs the case, but Taggart takes the case and pushes it back to Garrett before he falls backwards through the bomb bay doors and to his death. As Garrett looks down through the doors she sees the creature trying to climb back inside, hanging on by its tail. She finds something sharp and cuts its tail, but as it falls its wings open and it glides beneath the plane. She tries to drop boxes on it but it glides away. Garrett makes her way to the cockpit and tells the captain and Williams, the co-pilot, to dump the fuel and the cargo, but Williams doesn't want to dump the cargo. At that moment, an enemy plane comes straight for them and she drops to the floor. When she gets up, Williams has been shot in the shoulder and the captain has been fatally wounded. Moments later, the captain dies and Williams starts dumping the fuel. Garrett tells him he'll have to land the plane. As Garrett climbs back she sees Finch shooting as he hits one of the planes. He is so surprised to see Garrett. She tells him they have to go down. She tells Finch that the captain is dead. A moment later she is thrown to the floor and Finch is shot dead. As Garrett looks up she sees Quaid reaching down to her. She can't believe he's still alive. They hear a noise and see the creature attacking Beckel near the back. Quaid takes the baby and Garrett goes to help Beckel. She calls to the creature, then Beckel starts shooting at it in Garrett's direction. As it comes close to Garrett she shoots it in the chest and it falls out the side door towards the ground below. Just then, the last remaining enemy plane comes towards them. Garrett grabs the rear turret gun and shoots at the plane, hitting it and it explodes just behind them. Garrett realizes their plane is starting to dive but it's too close to the ground. She runs to the front to help Williams. They work together and roll the aircraft 180 degrees to keep the nose up. They cut the last 2 engines and roll it back over again to come in on flat ground. Way too fast, but they manage to get it down without any further loss of life. Garrett sits there having an image of Quaid lying dead and the case lying squashed, but then she looks around and Quaid and the baby are alright. Beckel comes through from the back, so happy to see the others alive. Garrett sees a fire near the oxygen tanks and tells them they all have to get out before the plane explodes. They get about 10 meters from the plane before it explodes. Beckel is looking around for the enemy planes but Quaid tells him they got them all. Garrett walks over to Quaid, looking at the leather case in fear. Quaid opens the case and the baby is lying there peacefully, as if nothing has happened. Beckel asks her what she's going to do now, because she'll be in trouble, but Williams says she won't be in trouble because she was being transferred and they lost her paperwork. In other words, Williams would cover for her so she wasn't in trouble. Quaid gets down on one knee and is about to propose marriage to her when suddenly, the creature appears and pushes Quaid over, then tries to get away with the leather case, but Garrett has other ideas. She goes after it and hits the creature with a lump of wood, then gives the baby back to Quaid. She turns and walks back to the creature with a determined look in her eyes and starts beating it up, finally finishing it off with its own claw. As she walks back to Quaid, the baby is crying because of hunger. She takes the baby and climbs the mound nearby, then feeds her. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching. You should check these recaps.